this video, we're going to talk about the wealth formula and why no matter how much money you earn, you need to know this. So what is the wealth formula? We're going back to basics here. Put simply, spend less than you earn and invest the rest. It's really that simple. I mean, you may have heard this said, you know, live within your means or don't spend more than you have to. And I think this is important to remind ourselves because, you know, no matter how much we learn about which company to invest in and, you know, what's the best time to buy and which sectors are doing well and what's the price of the market today, you know, all of these things, whilst they are important pieces of the puzzle, if we don't fundamentally have good personal financial management practices, then, you know, no matter how good our strategies are, we'll never be able to actually create any wealth because we won't have the money to invest. Okay, I know it might seem obvious, but this is not what we're taught. You know, we're taught to go to university and incur, you know, a lot of debt to get a job. You know, we start off behind. And then, you know, we're sort of encouraged to get credit cards and, you know, I hate to say it again, but use Afterpay, you know, pay for things with money that we don't even have yet, spending money that we haven't even earned. And it's not like we're spending that money on productive assets that are going to grow and make us more money. Instead, we're spending on things that, you know, they give us some enjoyment or they give us something, but in reality, that's not actually helping us create more wealth for the future. And ultimately, it's a bit of a trap because as you earn more money, you'll spend more money and take on more debt. And in our society here in Australia in particular, you know, probably the best thing that we're taught, and this is a bit of a stretch, but it's, you know, work and save money, you know, save your money and put it in the bank so you can buy a house one day. And it's like, okay, so we're just saving money in a bank account that doesn't accrue interest, that is being eroded away by inflation just to buy something at a later date. You know, I mean, a house, I've got nothing against buying a house or investing in real estate, but let's be honest, how many of us are actually saving money in a bank account and actually investing with it? And maybe if you're watching this video, you're one of those people, but most people don't. Most people are just saving to buy something like go on a holiday or, you know, buy a new car. And none of these things are assets. None of these things create wealth for us in the future. You know, none of these things give us more options in the future than we have today. So I think something that's quite amazing is it doesn't matter how much money you earn to start to practice this. You know, someone very close to me earns maybe 20% less than I do in salary and has, you know, quite a modest income. And, you know, this particular person has a much bigger investment portfolio than I do because he's been practicing this for longer. He's been doing this process for a few years longer than me. So he's accrued a much larger, you know, wealth position really, and a much better portfolio. So the important thing here is that, you know, we need to make sure that we remind ourselves that wealth is not an event, it is a process. It's something that we do over time. So how can we do it? Well, the first part is around spending less than we earn. Now you can look at this in a few different ways and you can say, all right, well, how can I earn more money? And, you know, that's good. And if you can earn more money, good for you. We all would like to earn more money, I'm sure. But the easiest one we can control is, well, how much do we spend? And the first way to tackle this is just by knowing. You know, if you don't know where you're spending and what you're spending on, well, how do you really know what you can change and how you can fix things and how you can improve? And so I think step number one is just to understand where we're spending currently. So have a look at your bank statement. I know it's not a sexy thing to do, but just have a look at what you're spending your money on. You know, are you eating out very often? Are you, you know, buying Uber Eats? Are you, I don't know, doing some online shopping, maybe a little bit too much online shopping? And then the next step would be to once you've identified, where you spend your money, just to ask yourself, do you really need that subscription? Do you really need to spend, on Uber Eats twice a week? Could you eat from home instead? And I think that's something that's been really good from this lockdown period. It's sort of forced us to not eat out so much and not go out so much. And it's kind of, shaken up our habits and our routines. And it's given us the opportunity to sort of see, well, how we're operating now, how does that compare to how we were operating before lockdown? And, are we saving more money? Are we spending more money now? And, what things could we change going forward once we come out of this lockdown period? Now, for the investing part of the equation, that's why I've made this YouTube channel. So if you're new and you're just starting, I would recommend this video here or wherever the thing pops up. And in that video, I talk about ETFs and why that's a great place to start. And, if you're not looking to be a very active investor, managing your portfolio, doing all the work associated with that, then a passive strategy like investing in ETFs could be the best option for you. Now, I'd just like to remind you that it is really important that we're not just saving our cash in the bank and that we are investing some of what we're saving. Because if we're not investing that money, it will essentially be eroded away over time by inflation, as I spoke about in one of my other videos. I'll link it here if I can. Inflation is basically referring to the purchasing power of our money. It decreases over time. So you may remember being a child, being able to buy a lot of lollies with a small amount of money that your parents would give you, yet the same amount of money today buys much less. And the same thing's happening with our bank accounts. If we just put our cash in savings, well, the number stays the same, but what you can buy with that number decreases over time. So if you're not putting that to work by investing, you're essentially going backwards. So to wrap it up, the wealth formula is to spend less than you earn and invest the rest. If you enjoyed this video, give it a like and let me know in the comments what type of content you'd like to see next. Thank you very much, and I'll speak to you soon.